Hello everyone, my name is Arjun Sood. I work as a digital transformation leader in the greater New York metropolitan area, basically advising clients on digital trends and opportunities for their business models. So the purpose of this YouTube channel that I'm calling IotaStar is to build a community of like-minded folks anywhere in the world, leaders in technology, operations, or business who are passionate about the Internet of Things. They realize how important and useful and impactful this is going to be in our lives and want to work together in figuring out how do we leverage this trend to our advantage. So by working together, by forming a community, we can hopefully gain cross-functional expertise in understanding which use case has the most promise. By also being in a community, we would have the advantage of building some kind of network effect, because if a significant number of us are trying to bring a certain use case to the mainstream, it will help build some traction. And I think anyone in the digital space does realize that the first mover advantage can be fairly significant here. It can determine winners from losers very quickly, because once people, end users and stakeholders start liking, getting used to, signing up for a certain capability, it's very difficult to have them switch. Now, this community through this YouTube channel is for folks who are very familiar with IoT, either from a technology, operations, or business point of view. Any of them would be fine. This community is probably not the best resource for folks who are either new to the space, because we would very quickly like to go into the details of a use case. So if you are not familiar with what Internet of Things is, or you don't have enough professional or educational experience in this space, then you may not find this community and this channel useful. However, you could always use this to educate yourself on certain things, but that's not where our discussions would be focused. So just want to set the expectations right so folks are not frustrated if we're not going into a lot of background information on some of the concepts we'd be talking about. So the approach would be to really figure out the use cases that are profitable and actionable. This community is not to brainstorm ideas and ideas that may or may not work. Of course, we have to have some level of brainstorming to shortlist to the ideas, but the point is to quickly get to a use case that a large number of us believe in and start going into the details on understanding how to make it actionable. So hopefully I've set enough context to which kind of individuals, what kind of backgrounds are most suited for this community, and I welcome everyone who believes in the mission and the approach to join in. We would rely a lot on the comment section for the community to talk to each other, present ideas on use cases, start a discussion thread, so that we can then make subsequent videos, and not just me talking, but we can have the right community members either create video content, or maybe I could facilitate a good discussion with subject matter experts in a certain area. The idea is just to make these videos productive and useful. I'm sure, just like me, a lot of you have very busy lives, so we just gotta respect everyone's time and try to get to the point quickly. So in the IoT space, I believe this will be much bigger than what the PC and the internet did over the last 3 decades, and these created fundamental change in our life, and the Internet of Things would be even bigger. This is, for people in the space may have seen this from McKinsey. This is at least 3 or 4 years ago. This was published at least 3 or 4 years ago. But basically, they made an intelligent estimate that the impact for IoT would be between $4 to $11 trillion by the year 2025. And again, McKinsey publishes a lot in this space, so a lot of resources. McKinsey Insights is, I subscribe to those. That's been a really good source of understanding what the big picture is. So I just encourage everyone to just do their own research. The point is, there is enough money in this space for pretty much all the players to make a lot of money in. So that's why it's important to form communities where we can benefit from each other. If anyone thinks that going alone, no matter which company you're in, you could be in the largest enterprise, or you could be, an individual with one of the brightest ideas. Just keep in mind, it's impossible to, or very difficult. I won't say impossible. It would be very difficult to try to do this alone. Working in a community would help everyone, and your idea or your use case would gain greater traction if more people are talking about it and more people are getting the market ready for it. So hopefully most of you think that way. The key thing as we try to figure our use cases is we have to go after quantum and not incremental. So sometimes people, when they look at digital in general, digital transformation, they look at an existing process and they try to improve that process. They try to come up with pain points in a process and say, oh, I have these pain points, and if I address them, it would make my future state better. That's really process improvement and not digital transformation. Nothing wrong with process improvement, but process improvement is best catered to by techniques that have worked very well over the last 2 to 3 decades, like Lean and Six Sigma. I come from a Lean and Six Sigma background. I understand process improvement really well, but now my focus is on digital transformation, where it's not a 10-15% improvement, but more like a 300-400% improvement. And that may mean that improving the current process may not take us there, because the current process is already plateauing to what it can do, and it's probably time to reimagine the whole spectrum of opportunities from the drawing board, straight from the drawing board. So we're not really going to look at processes that are fairly mature and try to improve them by 5 to 10%. Let's look after use cases that are truly transformative and and make a big impact. Now, folks may be motivated for different reasons on why they want to do this. One of them could simply be more money, right? These use cases will be extremely profitable. How you position yourself for the use case is really up to you. Whether you want to start your own business for that use case, or you work for an enterprise and having an advanced understanding of certain use cases that your enterprise may care for, could be another reason. Or you could be a consultant like me, where you're expected in your role to know more than others. And as a digital consultant, that's what I try to do, right? I try to be a few years ahead of my clients so that they can find value in having me as their consultant. The other thing is, other than the profit, right, another way to look at profit is also social change. I personally believe that digital transformation could be probably the most effective weapon in the arsenal for government and nonprofit organizations to fight poverty. So aid, economic development, right? Some of the concepts that have been used to fight poverty, they really do work. I mean, it's better than nothing, and it's a big problem to solve. We have to attack that problem from every possible angle. But digital transformation could accelerate the fight against poverty. So I do hope that at least some members of our community do come from nonprofit and government agencies. And I know, private enterprises, corporations, enterprises, business owners, they will eventually get IoT, right? Whether they get it now or they get it in a few years, but they will eventually get it. And I do hope that governments and nonprofits also show the same sense of urgency and they participate in this community, which could also help people to roll out the use case, because with government and community support, the use case can be implemented much more effectively and faster. The final thought I want to share today is just that we have to capture end-to-end value. A use case, no matter how intelligently it's been thought of, what a big impact it would make, even if one step fails, that could be catastrophic for the whole use case. So we have to think of end-to-end with the customer experience in mind, or the stakeholder experience in mind, and make sure we're getting that addressed. And then find something easy but scalable. A lot of the IoT discussions very quickly become too sci-fi for me, when IoT in the true sense is just ones and zeros, small bits of data being transmitted to a machine to do something useful quickly. So let's just keep that in the back of our minds, right? Our goal is not to complicate things. Let's come up with something easy. But the complexity that we want to address together should be on the scalability side. And then finally, right, the target operating model, people, process, technology. We can't look at any use case without addressing all these three things at the same time. So the people aspect, who gets impacted, or who would implement this, is very important. The process, right? What does it mean? Where does it start? Where does it end? What's the exception flow? Should be a very important part of our discussion. And then the technology, I think technology is the easiest part. There are lots of platforms available, a lot of capabilities. They're very cheap. And IoT is just ones and zeros. So let's not overcomplicate what this is supposed to do. And hopefully with this kind of mindset, let's approach it with an open mind and see where it goes. So I welcome you to this community and hope to hear from you soon.